Good evening. First order of business tonight is a public hearing. All persons are reminded that this session is being recorded on the tape for the preservation of records, and you are asked when called upon to give your name, address, and the interest in the matter before the council. And that matter is discussing the rezoning petition submitted by Chesapeake Real Estate Group, LLC, related to the old North Carroll High School. So, and in attendance tonight, we've got Chris Murray, who's the Vice President of Chesapeake Real Estate Group, and Dick Weaver from Carroll County Commissioners is here, Tim Burke, who's county attorney's here, and Michelle Ostrander, who's the town attorney's here as well. So Chris, if you want to give an overview, the floor is yours.
Thanks.
Sure. Is it on?
Is it on?
No,
I probably don't need it.
but yes, you do. Trust me. The people at home do.
Okay. All right, so I'm Chris Murray, Chesapeake Real Estate Group. I'm the vice president there. Do you need me to state my address?
No.
Okay. So we're the group that's currently under contract to purchase the former North Carroll High School. And we're submitting a petition to rezone it. And the reason for that petition, twofold. The first being that it's there's been a substantial change in the neighborhood. Formerly, as everyone knows, it was a school, and it's no longer being used as a school. So it doesn't fit the previous zoning, which was public conservation, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's the first reason. And then the second reason would be that there's a mistake in the zoning for the exact same reason. When it was previously zoned during the comprehensive rezoning in 2010, it was an active school. Again, it's no longer active. And, it's the current uses right now would be very limited under the current zoning. To the point where there's really not much you could do with the property. We've asked that part of the property, about 46 acres, I believe, and I brought an exhibit showing kind of where it would be broken down, and if anybody wants a copy of that, I can provide that.
They've got it up here.
You guys have it, if anybody else wants it. But basically, we've got about 45 acres, which is the blue area, including the old school building, the fields, the stadium, and most of the land would be put into a historic zoning. And then a little bit of the frontage along Route 482, where the red is shown here, would be put into a business general zone, which would allow for some potential development of this area kind of right out on the front side for potential uses like pad sites or restaurants or something that might be an amenity to our proposed use of the rest of the property. The area in the blue, the old school building and the fields, our plan is to take the school building and try to bring it back to life. Use the auditorium, bring in some groups to use the auditorium, use the gyms. We've got volleyball groups, we've got basketball groups. We're going to lease out some of the space. We've got lease proposals out to MedStar for physical therapy use. There's some club sports teams like FCA that have indicated that they would like it. So we're going to try to reutilize as much of the existing structure as possible. We don't have any plans to tear it down right now. And then with the exterior space, our plan, and you can kind of see it over there, but is to build 2 turf fields. So we take the existing stadium field and basically rip out the grass and put down kind of like collegiate style turf so that various groups could rent those fields. So we'd have 2 turf fields, and then we'd have 4 grass fields kind of around the turf. Again, for use for tournaments, for youth athletics, whatever other uses come along that would like to rent fields. So we'd potentially have 6 fields there. Stage 1 would just be 2 turfs, and then if there's enough demand in the future, we could always convert one of those other fields to turf at a later date. So that's the plan.
Questions for Chris up here? So how goes it? What's the good, Ben?
I had a question. I already brought it up to some people. Council members Zolman speaking. The frontage road where it's going to be general business.
Yep.
Would you be able to do pad sites if those 8 acres were historical zone as well?
No, we're more limited with historical zoning.
Okay. How's that?
It's just the allowed uses in historical are not as broad as they are in the general business. And really the purpose of that is to, and I didn't really touch on this, but the building itself is a large structure. It's 40 years old. We want to reuse it, but it's not inexpensive to operate a building like that. You know, the county and certainly knows that because they've been operating it while it's been vacant for the last few years. You know, we estimate that it might cost $500,000 or $600,000 a year in operating expenses between utilities, repairs, whatever else, insurance, taxes, to keep that building there. So the idea behind this additional zoning along the frontage there is not just to have an amenity for, you know, the tournaments and the users of the building, but also to potentially help offset the cost of operating the building and keeping it kind of in use.
So how are we doing? I'm assuming you guys are going to say something after this in support? And then how are we doing as far as timing of the contract, because it's been delayed?
Sure. So as of now, as of today, we've extended the contract out. The closing date is now September 30th on it. Our original goal was to start construction this fall so that we could deliver the fields by the spring and catch the spring outdoor sports season, which is pretty important to us. We're still in the concept plan approval stage with the county. And so that involves some potential changes to the stormwater management ponds and the grading and water runoff of the site. So our contract allows us to not close until we have certain approvals, and we haven't received those approvals yet. And we're working through some design changes on that. So,
Where is the pond in that overhead shot?
big one down in the corner here.
Down by
Okay.
Shiloh Run.
Big wet pond. It's the original pond to the property, and it's outdated by today's standards for stormwater.
Just a clarification, Wayne Thomas, Council. The intention is to divide the zoning on the property, not to subdivide the property, correct?
Yeah, split
Thanks,
zone,
sir.
yeah.
Good question. Anything else for Chris? Michelle? All right. Dick, you want to turn at it? Thanks, Chris.
Richard Weaver, County Commissioner for District 2. Last Thursday, our Director of Economic Development came to the board asking for an extension from settlement on this from August the 11th to the end of September. And that was, it was 4 members present, and it was 4-0 in favor of extending that until the zoning, or not until the zoning, until the stormwater management is approved. And if the engineering firm gets that information to us, we're trying to expedite that through our system as fast as we can so that that date is met. There's no opposition to your rezoning. The town holds the zoning on this anyway. So at the present time, we just had to extend things out due to the contract we have with Chesapeake. That's going to allow them to do get the stormwater management approved prior to settlement on this property. So at the time, there's no opposition from Carroll County.
I'm confused, Mr. Weaver. Usually stormwater management comes in when you're actually doing something to the property. And this is just a sale?
But part of the sale was, I think in our contract, it stated that the zoning, or all the things had to be in place to allow the sale to happen. So there's no surprises to the buyer after they buy it.
Understood.
This one caught us off guard anyway. We thought the old stormwater management pond would be appropriate, and if your engineers can get the information to us, it's going to be put through as fast as it possibly can.
And
But that pond didn't work, and it's due to, I think, water quality in the trout stream. Even though that's a class 3 stream, and water quality temperature has to be at a certain level. So if it's on a pond surface, it changes the temperature. And this is dealing with MDE more than Carroll County. We have to follow those standards and bring everything up to present standards.
And Councilman Thomas, it's a grading only plan. but grading only includes stormwater.
Thank you for the clarification.
Some of the, when the turf fields are done, is some of that stormwater managed subterranean?
Underneath of the fields, and we have various smaller facilities located throughout the property. Plan, which was part of the original plan, we just hadn't planned on actually addressing the pond itself.
And I think it was, a lot of people were speaking to prior to introducing the grading only, we were looking more at the quantity. And I think when Stormwater reviewed it, they were also looking at the quality, like you stated, and I think that's why things changed.
And we're doing the public hearing because we've advertised it twice for the public hearing tonight, and then we're not going to vote on it tonight because we're waiting until September when it gets closer for them to have their plans done so that we're further along to the finish line so that we can match up the rezoning with the actual settlement of the sale.
Tim, you have any comment on?
No, the mayor just summed up my comment.
Oh, thanks. I'll put in for my vault fee.
Good man, one take.
Thank you, Commissioner Weaver. Any further public comment on the matter?
And then one point now, it appears that the testimony is done. For tonight, we have only the one exhibit, which is the blue and red map. We'd just like approval to introduce that and put that as part of the record. I'll need that from you folks.
Okay, do we do that as part of the public hearing?
Yes.
Take a motion.
So,
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, easy enough. Thanks for the pointer. Any other comment? All right, thank you, gentlemen. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Move on to the business at hand, which is the regular town council meeting in the month of August. Please rise for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, we submit ourselves to you as your servants and the servants of the people of Hampstead who place their trust in us. Please allow every word that is spoken and every action taken to be in the best interest of Hampstead. O Lord, bless this meeting and our town. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tammi, roll.
Mayor Nevin,
Here, sorry. Thank you, guys.
Councilwoman Barrett. Here. Councilwoman Painter. Here. Councilman Thomas.
Here.
Councilman Unglesby.
Here.
And Councilman
Here.
Zolman. Excuse me.
All right, minute approvals for the public hearing on July 13th and the council minutes on July 13th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Tammi, when you get caught up.
I am caught up. As everybody can see, our Main Street revitalization project, we're coming to a conclusion. Right now, C.J. Miller has addressed
Thank
all
you,
the
Michelle.
items on the punch list, except for two, which are the replacement of the lamppost that was damaged near the police station, and the replanting of the shrubs on the northern end that were planted as a living snow fence to block drifting snow from Route 30. A change order is required before those items can be corrected. Currently, State Highway is removing their field office located on Shiloh Avenue this week. I probably should have said beginning the process to remove their field office. I know Public Works is going to meet with them tomorrow morning about disconnecting from our water system. I hope everybody noticed that Verizon came out and to lift the telephone wires away from our lamppost. Verizon had to install 4 higher poles on the southbound lane near Gill Avenue. So Verizon finished actually the installation yesterday and will return later to patch the sidewalk around the base of the poles. So the lines are not laying on the lamppost anymore. The post office is in the process of ordering and installing 8 more cluster boxes between Route 482 and Shiloh Avenue, so all residents and businesses on Main Street will receive direct mail delivery. They currently have 6 boxes on order. Unfortunately, there are many time-consuming processes that need to be completed before mail can be delivered to these boxes.
What about the ones north of 482?
They have installed all the boxes. The one is not receiving mail yet. That's why there's a couple single mailboxes. There's also one individual that doesn't want to remove their mailbox, but
Well-
we're working on that.
Thank you.
And there's also a couple gray mailboxes they're gonna replace with the new black ones, but I want them to be able to finish all the delivery where people do not receive direct delivery before they install or replace old ones with new ones. And they're also gonna upgrade them to capture a few more people too. But when you look at the processes of what the post office has to do to install these cluster boxes, first they have to have the ordering approved. Then they, when the cluster box received, they have to have the installation approved. Then addresses have to be established within the postal service for these properties, because currently they have a post office box address. And then an address slot has to be created in the Baltimore City sorting process, because all of our mail goes to Baltimore City to be sorted. And then the address is assigned to a postal carrier's route, and when a postal carrier receives an additional address, they also receive a pay raise. So all of these things go through an approval process, so it's not something that happens quickly. Yes. And because everything between 482 and Shiloh was going to the post office, all of that is new addresses. And then we still have to work on the, transfer of the roadway to the town, and it'll become effective after the completion and acceptance of the project by the town and the completion of agreed upon terms in a separate MOU. A separate MOUs were created when the town agreed to take ownership of all of Route 30 within town limits. The project revitalized 1.63 miles of Main Street, and the town agreed to take ownership of 2.37 miles of Route 30, which is the section from the southern railroad tracks just below Northwoods Trail to 0.08 miles north of Farmwoods Lane. So in the MOU, State Highway agreed to upgrade the condition of this additional road by repairing and replacing culverts and headways and resurfacing the road, and that's where they're providing a living snow fence also.
A living snow fence, emphasis on living.
Yeah, and it's dead.
And functional.
So they need to replace it with living.
They're currently dead twigs that are like
And then State Highway they've replaced it twice already, and then State Highway would come and mow the area next to the road and mow them over.
We can put them onto a good nursery if they can't keep the bushes alive.
So, Mid-Atlantic continues to work on the replacement of the remainder of the 1936 water mains. The new main has been installed on Ralph Avenue, and crews are installing the new service connections. Actually, I think they finished that today. And since this main was slightly moved, so they can install a better connection to the main on Clearview Avenue, the old water main has remained active during construction and is being used as a bypass pipe. So next week, crews will switch everyone to the new main, and then they'll apply the asphalt patch. Currently, crews are test pitting on Lower Beckleysville Road to verify the location of utilities, and then they plan to begin construction of the water main replacement project on Lower Beckleysville by the end of August. And we continue to work on our commercial and residential projects. They're still moving forward as discussions with county staff and developers continue. As I mentioned last month, Pentex Ventures was anticipating beginning construction of the new Dollar General by this week, but that's been postponed by a week or two. They're waiting on signatures and approved permits from the county. Once they have approved grading permit in hand, crews will immediately start the site earthwork, or kind of just restarted the site earthwork process and fill in the building foundation and begin the construction on the building pad. Dunkin' Donuts is planning a renovation of their South Main Street store, as is required of franchisees every so many years. And the owners are working with us to improve the drive-in operations to prevent the line from extending onto Main Street. Owners would like to include these improvements on their site plan submittal for the new renovation. They started using an electronic pad to pull people out of line and take their order that way. Has anybody been around Dunkin' Donuts in the morning? So hopefully that'll. So you can't just pull somebody out of line anymore. You have to have an electronic pad in your hand to take their order. So they started that August 1st. So hopefully that should help with some of the backing up onto the main street. So two BZA hearings are scheduled for Tuesday, August 24th at 7 p.m. The owner of Town Pride at 1214 Main Street is requesting a side yard setback variance for a 40-foot by 60-foot pole storage building to be built in the rear of the property by West Street. The property owner at 1130 South Main Street is asking for a rear yard setback variance for a pole building that will be used for personal storage. The rental housing license renewal letters for the 2021-21-23 license period were mailed out last week. There are currently 320 rental properties within the incorporated town limits. The current license will expire on August 31st, so new license will need to be obtained by that date. So if an owner of a rental unit has not received a renewal letter, please call town office.
How many new ones do we have? Do we know?
I don't think it was many new. It was-
That surprises me that we have that many.
Seen many at all. I've seen a few that were returned, marked sold, and they were no longer rental property.
Well, I think most of the rental properties, when someone bought a property on Main Street, the rental stayed with it.
These are properties not on Main Street.
Yeah. Public Works staff's repairing the stormwater inlets on roads that are on our paving bid that will be awarded during tonight's meeting, and they'll be painting stop bars and preparing the roads for the beginning of the new school year. Cheryl's working on FY21 year-end closeout and financial audit, and we still have a few more kinks that have to be worked out with our new payroll system. Christy, Cheryl, and I have also had several meetings with another vendor for our new financial software system. They have copied our data from our current financial system, and implementation should begin, well, it was going to begin this fall. We decided today to move it forward so we can finish our payroll, Cheryl can finish the audit, and then we can start working on our financial system. So that we just pushed that forward today. Since
Shifted it to the right.
To the back or forward? You've shifted it up to September or back to,
forward, to me, forward in time. So
that's back, okay.
I consider forward in time. So we may not implement our new financial system until January, somewhere between January and March, because we've kind of got to get back in line. And since Cheryl's responsible for payroll and financial duties of the town, she is tasked with gathering the necessary information and manually correcting issues. These systems will ease her workload in the future, but the implementations are extremely time-consuming in the meantime. So Cheryl's efforts and additional hours are greatly appreciated. And I wanted to talk about some of the things with the staff. The structure of town hall is being reorganized. As of July 1st, Christy has been promoted to an assistant manager level position, and she will supervise the new administrative assistant, Christina. Christina is learning very quickly and a welcomed addition to our team. Jim has been increasing code enforcement efforts and keeping track of our many businesses and residential projects and the rental license. Cheryl's assisting, as I said, with our new software vendors with their implementation requirements in addition to performing her many other financial duties.
Questions for Tammy? All right. Christina's a resident of town, too. So, happy to have her. All right, oversights. Diane?
Okay, attendance at the farmer's market is still averaging about 1,000 customers each week, although on the hottest day of the season so far, we had closer to 1,100 customers. Our newest vendor is Parkton Microgreens, and I had to learn about microgreens because I'd never heard about them before. Basically, growing microgreens is a unique process of growing the greens portion of baby vegetable plants and selling them intact and alive so they stay fresh until the consumer is ready to use them. And apparently they are packed with nutrients and flavor and great for cooking. So, yeah, it was good learning
I
experience.
just learned something, too.
Never heard of that.
The theater group that has started using the Panther Auditorium for performances has spoken with market manager Keith Johnson about helping to advertise their shows at the market. The name of this nonprofit group is Players on Air, Inc. They have a Facebook page and a website which lists their upcoming shows for the fall. I attended opening night of Jesus Christ Superstar last month. The performers and stage crew did a great job, and I was happy to be attending shows at the most beautiful auditorium in the county again. This past Saturday, August 7th, the market gave away canvas tote bags with the market logo to the first 100 customers. The logos were printed by Maryland Print House in Manchester. Keith received several customer inquiries about whether more bags and possibly t-shirts would be available for purchase. If there's enough interest, Keith may look for local business sponsors to defray the cost, so stay tuned. Regarding Carnival Week, the market will stay exactly where it is on August 14th, thanks to the cooperation of our fire department. For August 21st, the market will shift approximately 200 yards down the parking lot. The Farmers Market Advisory Team would like to thank the town's Public Works Department for assisting with this temporary move. The market would also like to thank all of those who have volunteered to close the market every Saturday by putting away tables, chairs, tents, and other items. Without the tremendous support from vendors, customers, and volunteers, the market would not be the success that it is. So, thanks, everyone.
It's doing very well. Wayne?
The Hampstead Train Station Committee is going to have its third Music in the Park this Saturday. It's going to be music by Just Us. That's Lou Kaiser's band, former mayor of the town of Hampstead. Danny Lee has been leading a group in cleanup at the train station. He's working on the front ramp and the porch, getting it all cleaned up. We've had a scout come out and want to do a Scout Eagle project to replace the stairways on the opposite side of the track. They've gotten quite beat up from the heat. They're on the west side. And so that project's going to start probably September, October this year. More about that later on. And it's time to repaint the train station again. So I have 7 buckets of paint and looking for anybody with a brush. So
Or a roller, maybe?
it's got to be brushed.
When are you doing that one?
When he gets
Anytime
7
you wanna-
volunteers.
Anytime you want to show up.
Aren't you in the Main Street Revitalization area? Aren't you, isn't that in the Main Street Revitalization area, the train station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer's yes.
Yes.
Because you would qualify for a bucket of paint, or does somebody donate them?
Well, I don't want to get into my ethics statement, okay?
As long as you're not painting in chartreuse, we're good.
No. Tree Commission, we planted many trees 4 years ago. It's time to go out and take the sleeves off of them. I think it's just about time for us to get our North Carroll Farm Section 4 tree bank qualified and verified, and so I'll be working on that later this summer. And then tonight we have the reappointment of 3 members to the Tree Commission, and I received a request from a person who'd like to join the Tree Commission, and we'll do that next month. And that's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you. Deb?
Planning and Zoning Commission met on July 28th, 2021, and approved new paint colors for a residential property at 1379 North Main Street. And it's going to be painted with blue tones and brighten up Main Street a lot. It's going to look really nice. The introduction of the final plan for the fire department at 1341 North Main was presented. There's been no major change from the concept to the final plan, except that the stormwater was moved from the side of Beckleysville to the front in order to keep their parking spots intact. They are hoping to break ground in October. The grading-only plan was approved for North Carroll Business Park, the south section, which is about 30 acres, to make it more marketable for future use. And the commission reviewed a possible rezoning of North Carroll High School from public conservation to use and adaptive reuse. The split zoning would allow for both business general, things like retail and restaurants, and historic, theaters, schools, specialty stores within the building. There was a discussion and approval of amendments to accessory uses, building structures in residential districts. Minor change, a shed is now defined as 150 square feet instead of 100 square feet. And storage shipping containers are prohibited for permanent use. And the Carroll County Department of Planning update, they're fully staffed, working on ag conservation to see if it still fits the way it is for the county now. And they're working on their master water, sewer, and transportation master plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Dave?
Okay, as far as parks go, I did receive a rather large and heavy donation from Leahy Cement. I got several tons of freshly blasted rock to build our new rock wall, and I want to thank them for that. And I also want to thank C.J. Miller for picking it up with one of their dump trucks from New Windsor and bringing it over here to Hampstead. Couldn't have done it without them, so appreciate that. And another one is my cabinet that I was able to get out of the old Dean's restaurant. It's finally been put back together. I'd like to thank Raver's Cabinets, Glenn Raver, who did it all for me. And we're going to start the process of restoring that cabinet as far as staining it and what have you. So,
Where's it going when you're done with it?
Well,
Right here in front
I
of
was
me?
gonna bring that up, yes. I was thinking of maybe having it on loan here at the town hall or maybe at the train station as, something that we could have
I
here.
actually had a few people ask about that after
Yeah.
the meeting last.
Very good, so.
We can put it back there instead of the sign-in table.
That's what I'm thinking,
Be the
yeah.
cabinet.
Absolutely. So,
Cool.
that would be real nice.
That is nice. Ben, last but not least.
Yes, all right. For water, July average water usage was 347,000 gallons per day. And so far in August, we have water usage of 354,000 gallons per day. And rainfall for July was 3.87 inches. And so far in August, we have had 0.17 inches.
And maybe another .17 tonight.
Yes.
All right. Chief?
Should I get this right?
Hopefully it's still on.
Yeah, I don't think I turned it off.
I don't think you turned it
I don't think I turned it on when I hit it. It was green.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'll speak loudly, I promise this time. During the month of July, with reference to traffic safety, we investigated 5 traffic accidents. 1 was reportable, 5 were minor property damage only, and 1 took place at the 482 Circle. The speed signs were placed at 8 locations for a total of 53 days of display. With reference to specifically traffic enforcement, 45 selective enforcements were conducted over a 20-hour period. 12 citations and 36 warnings were issued during that time. Overall traffic enforcement included 63 citations and 135 warnings. We conducted 468 property checks of businesses and schools. With reference to serious crimes, 4 thefts, in one particular incident, property was returned and prosecution was declined. 2 assaults were investigated. Prosecution was declined by both victims. A robbery I mentioned last council meeting is still under investigation. We're still trying to identify one particular party. And we participated in a recovered stolen vehicle from New York that was sold at an auction and ultimately ended up here in Hampstead. 3 adults were taken into custody for traffic violations. 7 adults were charged with DUI, 2 adults with robbery, 1 adult was arrested on an outstanding warrant, and 1 adult was charged with shoplifting. With reference to training, 10 hours of training were completed. That included entry tool training, as well as CPR instructor course. Community events, we attended the Roberts Fields HOA meeting, Hampstead Valley HOA meeting, and we also participated in the residents of Hampstead School. They had a resident appreciation day, and they had various activities. One thing which is not listed here, I will unfortunately report. I did learn during this particular event that unfortunately Lieutenant Gagler has absolutely no skills at flying a kite. Don't know that it'll impact her police career, but she can't do that to save her life. God bless. That's all I have.
Maybe a training session, added some training hours.
Thank you.
So she's not going to be in charge of the drone either. All right. Any questions for the chief? No. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, my report. So it was great watching the Summer Olympics and Katie Hersey Safaris and her endeavors running the triathlon. And she finished with a bronze medal in the individual triathlon, and she got a silver in the team triathlon, which was a co-ed thing where they ran a smaller triathlon. And it was great to see. Katie's a North Carroll High School graduate, grew up literally just outside of town. It was an inspiring story, with her father passing away unexpectedly in April, and the way she overcame adversity. And with Jim's help, we have a beautiful colored sign up at the War Memorial that stretches across 3 flagpoles. So, everybody please take a look at it as you go by. We're trying to do something for Katie, except she's in her triathlon schedule and she's a professional triathlete. So she's in Canada now, and then, every 3 weeks she's someplace else, and she's not really, she won't be back for a little bit. So, but when she is, we'll try to do something to recognize her locally. And through her mother, she was very gratified to hear about the banner that we put up, and it was amazing between the Facebook traffic that we got and my cell phone blowing up while it was all going on. So it was great to see. In the past month, we had Dave Greenwald of Northern News finally got to do his Northern News dinner from last March. So I thank everybody for up here for being there. I was one of the co-honorees this year. The main honoree was Lynn Sheevely for her endeavors at NESAP, and what she did there over her tenure was just absolutely amazing. And so overall, it was a great night, and I think everybody, we enjoyed it, and I'm glad that we're back on a little bit of a circuit and back into some normalcy. I think it was mentioned briefly, we've got the Hampstead Volunteer Fire Carnival next week at North Carroll High School in the parking lot, so a little different, and hopefully it goes really smooth. And I know, everybody last I saw was signing up for the candy wheel to help Kevin out. So, so it's always a good time, and it's a great event. And I think it's one of the few fire companies this year who's actually had their carnival on their scheduled date. Some of them postponed it into later, into August and into September. But maybe one other one so far has had theirs. And so kudos to the guys for getting that done and having it this year. And they relocated it to the high school because, as we heard, they're in the process of redeveloping their current site on Main Street. So lots of new this year with where it's going to be located, and it'll probably be there for a couple of years. On the boring municipal level front, the board meetings for the Maryland Municipal League, which Dave and I serve on in the coming year, we'll get back to a normal schedule, and we have our first meeting scheduled in Salisbury in early September. So look forward for that getting going, and as we draw to a close in summer, school starting on time, and hopefully back in school with Carroll County continuing that and getting back to continuing to get back to a more normal footing, Delta variant notwithstanding. So those are my comments. Unfinished business, I don't think we have any. As Wayne mentioned, we're going to reappoint a couple of people to the Hampstead Tree Commission. They've done a great job over the years in the number of trees they've planted and the locations that they've put them. The reappointments are Janice Hanson, Nora Ward, and Kelly Kraus for a term of 3 years. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A second by Deb. So any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks. All right, ladies. You got to come front and center. Sorry. You should be like old pros at this, all three of you. Oh, I'll get out there. All right. Right hands, if you will. I state your name.
Nora Ward. I, Janice Hanson. I, Kelly Kraus.
Do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
And that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland.
the town of Hampstead,
The town of Hampstead.
and support the Constitution and the laws thereof,
And support the Constitution and laws
and that I
thereof.
will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully,
And I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office as a member of the Tree Commission of the town of Hampstead,
execute the office as a member of the Tree Commission of the town of Hampstead,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
Congratulations, you're officially sworn in. Now, you gotta let Tammi put her John Hancock on her. Yeah, you've got to sign, she's got to sign, we'll let you take those. I guess you got to sign those. You got to sign this one. This will be our copy, that's her copy. That's yours.
Yeah, Jim.
Janice.
Number 75.
You can attest them later, right, for them, for those.
Where am I? There was one. Nora stole the pen.
Nora, did you steal a pen?
I stole it.
Yes, she did.
Shoplifting.
I know.
Chief.
Sign this.
I know, that's gonna be, looks loud.
Here, this is blue.
Oh, this is awful pen.
Yeah, that's an awful.
Oh,
She
never
wants
mind.
this pen.
Look at that.
Such good penmanship. Mine's gone. Not so good.
You know what, I'm gonna sign this one, because mine, the way I signed that one, I'm not putting it next to your signature, hold on.
What?
Hold on, I'm just giving it, that one didn't, I did my usual, I'm giving it this one.
Okay.
'Cause that's the way I
Whatever.
signed.
Yes, ma'am, you're good. And Kelly, last but not least, you gotta sign too, Kelly. We'll let Tammy. And here, just sign that one, and we'll let Tammy attest it. This will be your copy. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies. All right. Next item of business is, I didn't ask them to be here, but I'll catch up with them later on, and I sent you the bios on the appointment of Barbara Yeager to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term of 5 years, and the appointment of Charlie Obermeyer to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the term of Kevin Malinowski, which ends in April of '22, also to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So Charlie and Barb both indicated their willingness to serve on the Planning Commission. As much as I'd like to have Kevin stay on, he served us for almost 10 years, 9 years and change. And he's got a new job which requires a lot more of his attention. But he served us since February of 2012, which I did not realize that I had twisted his arm that hard and for that long. So I mean, my thanks and our thanks to Kevin for his years of service. Barb and I have talked a couple of times as Diane got to know her through the North Carroll issue. And then, I got her letter, and, JMT, working there for years, which is one of the largest engineering firms in the area. Not that she's an engineer, but she was the one in charge of putting engineeringese into English. So I think she'd be a great addition. And then I've gotten to know Charlie, as he's a new neighbor in just down the road from where I live, and he's raising his 2-year-old daughter here in Hampstead. And he got to be friends with my daughter and son-in-law, and then I got to talking to Charlie, and he worked for the United States Lacrosse, and now he's working for a Big Four consulting firm who shall remain nameless, but very impressive resume and a young guy, and I'd like to get some young, new, fresh blood witness that one over there, involved in town of Hampstead, and the fact that not you.
No.
And I think they'd both be great additions, and Charlie will finish out Kevin's term, and hopefully everything works out. He likes it, and we like him, and we'll appoint him for 5 years. So there you go. A motion, if you will, please.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of appointing Barb Yeager and Charlie Obermeyer to the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, I'll catch up with them before the August meeting, and they'll be duly sworn in, and they'll get their code books and all the other paperwork.
So
that-
Kevin will not be at this meeting?
He's officially,
Okay.
he said he's retired. Thank you. All right, next is the approval and MOA between the county and the incorporated municipalities for joint participation in complying with the NPDES National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, MS4 requirements. The town and the county started doing this, how many years? 5 years ago, Toby? So 5 years ago, and it's, there was a phase 1 of the WIP, the Watershed Implementation Plan, and all kinds of things you don't think you have to learn when you run for municipal office, but it has to do with the improvement of stormwater and the facilities around it. The county, they realized they would get bigger bang for their buck in dealing with the towns instead of trying to go it alone. The towns realized the same thing, so it's a true partnership and a win-win. And so we're just, we've already approved the budget where this money would go, but now we actually see the agreement, so we're approving the MOU tonight.
So move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks. And as you'll see, the next phase is a little cheaper than the first phase. Okay. Last but not least is the award of a contract for paving and patching of town roads, which were opened here last Friday in Town Hall. You can see there were 4 bids, and they're all companies that are really well known to us, who've worked for us in the past and done a great job. The low bid was White Pine Paving. We're suggesting that White Pine be awarded the bid, $242,304. You can see that 3 of the 4 bids were pretty closely, and 2 of them are really close, but 3 of the 4 bids were really closely grouped, and we appreciate the fact that they all bidded, and, White Pine is here local, right on Main Street.
So move to approve the bid from White Pine Paving.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. And then, last but not least, is the ordinance and resolutions, which is an introduction and an approval of Resolution 2021-03, a resolution concerning accessory uses in residential districts.
I just wanted to add something. The reason it's proposed to make the change for a storage shed from 100 feet to 150 square feet is we're matching the county. The county raised theirs from 100 feet to 150 feet. So we're matching their permitting process.
Yeah, I don't see a significant difference in 50 square feet. I do see I'm glad we're outlawing ocean containers being in people's yards. So apparently that's been a topic of conversation across Carroll County and other places.
My neighbor has a couple.
Ocean containers.
Yeah, there's big seagoing metal containers. People are using them.
Shipping ones?
Yeah.
On boats?
Yeah, that's what people are putting in their yards.
Or,
Huh?
A
For
shed.
a shed. That's what we're getting rid of them
Yeah.
before they become an issue.
I just didn't know anyone had, like,
They make nice efficiencies.
Okay, hopefully not. All right,
oh, geez.
so is there an introduction and approval of the resolution? A motion, please.
Make a motion to introduce and approve Resolution 2021-03.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, take your pick, Tammy. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
A roll call, okay.
Sorry, hold on.
Throwing her for a loop, Wayne.
Hey, Councilwoman Barrett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Painter,
yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Unglesby,
Yes.
and Councilman Zoltman.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
She passed the test.
Okay, usually there's one forgot. Any public comments? Since we had the little public hearing, most of the room's cleared out. Good to see Marlene and Tim Duff. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your summer. A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you all, and thank you, CMC, and we'll see you in September.